This medical program, heard from 7 to 7:30 each Saturday, right here on WSBR 740 AM, is brought to you by the Adult and Geriatric Center under the medical direction of geriatrician Dr. Andy Mencia.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. This is such a special time for us to be together. It's the end of 2012.
2012 is ending.
And we're still here.
And we're still here.
And the Mayans,
we're still ticking.
Yeah, well, what happened, someone was explaining that it isn't necessarily, wasn't the end of the world. It was the end of a cycle of theirs. And now they're starting another cycle. So It was a misunderstanding.
Yeah, when they were saying that the world was going to end, one of the people that complained was Jesus. He said, "You guys crazy? You think I'm going to allow the world to end 4 days before my birthday? No way."
You know, that's very good. Now, that's funny. See, that's right, because that's very funny. No one ever said that before. You're good. Dr. Mencia, you know, we've had a lot of shows and we've covered a lot of things. And I think the one thing that stands out for me is prevention and seeing your patients often, and that is very unusual. Doctors don't do that.
Doctors don't do that. The government don't understand. You know, they write things down, and you know, one thing with our government, like many other government, you know, one thing is in black and white, then you done your job. Then you just file it away. You know, you don't have to execute. You know, and there's a lot of good ideas. If we go back into the archives of our country and we look at things that we have done right, we can fix this country very easily. You know, but we just want to write things down, write, you know, thousands of pages in regulations and ideas, and then throw them away. You know, just file them away. You know, we need to execute some of the ideas. You know, we are a very admired country by so many other people. And one of the first things we need to do for 2013 is to start taking personal responsibility for the future of this country. You know, just like if you live in your house with your kids, you know, either the parents or the kids, in order for you to make it, somebody have to take responsibility for that family. But it's one person at a time. And I think if we all start taking that personal responsibility, you know, I saw one patient that came to see me this week, and his insurance is running out. So as of January 1st, he have no insurance. And he's going crazy. And he said, "Can you do my lab? Can you do my echo? Can you do my electrocardiogram? Check my urine? I have to get it." I say, slow down. The first thing you need to do is don't get a heart attack here, you know, worrying about tomorrow. Let's take care of today. So you are here, you will be taken care of, but I need you to relax. I need you to calm down. And he understood that, and he came down, and then he started crying. "What am I going to do if I get sick?" I said, "You are not going to get sick. You know, think positive." So, you know,
I want to go back to what you were saying about taking personal responsibility. And I have to put my hat on as a gerontologist. It's really important because I have always felt that families need to take care of their children. They've got to take care of the older adults in their family. They can't leave them the way many of them do, without just to fend for themselves.
Right.
Families need to get together and really help one another. And if you don't have a family, there are neighbors. That's the way I think we could build our country back.
Exactly. You start, you know, one person trusting one person, and, you know, people coming together and, you know, believing in neighbor and trusting neighbor. You know, we have to do it with cautious. You know, there's a lot of, you know, we all been through a lot of letdown by people that we have trust and love. You know, and we have to pick up and say it's not the end of the world. No matter what, you know, what I lost for 2012, this, you know, there's light in front of me. There's 2013 now to move forward. So, you know, you have to trust, but you have to be cautious, you know, who you trust in, and, And you have to start making decisions for your future. You know, we all gonna get to a point that we won't be able to make decisions for ourselves. And while you are competent and able to, you know, it's time for you to decide. Like, you know, Bill might not be the best person to make decision for you. You know, he might get too emotional and won't do exactly what you want. But maybe your son will be the ideal person. You know, he might be, you know, more logical and organized and respectful of your wishes. So, you know, as you move forward, you have to start choosing who's the right person to make decision for me. And people don't want to do that. You know, the number one fear, you know what it is?
No.
They think that once you sign that paper, you lost your right. And that's not true. You still have your right. It's the point that you can no longer make decision. That's when that paper will kick in.
Well, that's what you see as a doctor. I think this is a very good point. This is probably a good conversation today. You, as much as you care about your patient, you will be helpless if that person didn't sign something that allows you to do something, right?
Exactly.
Let's talk about that, because you as a physician, and you're such a caring person, here you're going to have your patient, they'll be in the hospital, and there's certain things you have to do, and it's not legal if they didn't give you a right or someone a right to tell you, right?
Exactly. Then
so
you're stuck.
That's what you're talking about, that they should sign some sort of a health care surrogate.
Right.
They've got to do that paperwork to give you that freedom.
And sometimes, you know, you might have a loved one that you really trust. Like in your case, maybe your son might be that person that you really trust that will take care of you. But you never sign anything. And let's say Bill is gone. And you have, you know, now I'm stuck with you, your son that don't want anything to do with you, your daughter that don't want anything to do with you. And then a judge will assign a complete stranger to
That's
come
right.
into Anita's life.
Exactly.
And start making decisions for you that is not to your family best interest or to you as a person, or it's not respectful to your wishes. Nobody should, you know, would know you better than your doctor and your family. So, you know, we have to think of those things and start making plans and thinking ahead. Once everything is all set and done and written down, then you have set your future, how you want things to go. Then come back and take responsibility for yourself.
But something you just said is true. If, let's say, 2 years from now, things change, you can change it.
You can always
change it. That's what you said.
You can always change it. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Have you had in your, I'm sure you have in your career as a physician, instances where you really were helpless to help someone because as much as you wanted to?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
It must break your heart.
There's, you know, one case in particular, you know, that come to mind is, you know, this guy, very famous and very rich man. And he has a family member and no daughter, no son or daughter, have no kids. But this distant family member insisted in, you know, taking over the state and handling his affair. And he was very pushing in getting this thing done. Eventually, she got that done, and you know, now he has no control of it. You know, and there's another distant family member that live out of the country. And when that person come in, then he's all upset. Like, you know, what's going to happen with my uncle state and what's going on here? It's a big mess, you know. So, you know, you have to start thinking of how you want your life to, you know, and your state and everything. You don't have to have a lot of money. You know, it's not a matter of money. You might have a statue at home from your, you know, husband or your kids or your past that is important to you. It's value to you. It means nothing to somebody else. But guess what? If you have not made decision, somebody can come in, you know, a complete stranger and take something you know to you is dear and throw it in the garbage right in front of your eyes.
That's really true. I want to go into some stuff. I love the fact that you have been doing this for so long and you have that caring heart. Someone, let's say, has become widowed, and whether it's a man or a woman, and now they have a new friend because they were lonely before, and now this is nice. And they bring this person to you, as their doctor, and then this person.
I've seen that many times.
I'm sure you have. And don't you find that even though maybe the kids feel, oh, they're going to take your money, something, to me, I think the most important thing is to have love in your life. And
absolutely. I see it in my patient. When they have a companion, somebody that they can hold hand with, and their medical care changes so drastically. It's like, you need less medication for the blood pressure. Suddenly that back doesn't hurt that much. Maybe because you're exercising more now. I don't know.
I knew we'd get down to some sex here.
Yeah. But definitely, it's a good,
Yeah, it is good. But just, and I think it's a good time for us to talk a little bit about the sexual part about this. People should realize that it may not be it's not the same sex that they had.
It's not the same sex.
For them not to have that. It's cuddling and fondling, exactly. Right? And you as a physician ought to talk about that.
To have somebody to hug with at night, or somebody when you're sitting down watching TV and hold that person's hand, and feel the human touch next to you. A certain part of as we mature, those senses become more important than anything else.
And unfortunately, and I'm going to keep pushing you on this now.
Sure.
I'm pushing you.
Push me.
Okay, push you.
Yeah, push me.
I'm doing it. I'm pushing you because, a lot of men really want to be able to perform sexual acts.
That's wrong. That's not
and they
true.
can't.
That's not true.
And this is a problem.
No, that's not true. No, that's
not true. Okay, let's talk about this. No. An older adult who wants to do this, and he can't.
Older adult, what they need to be educated. It's not men and women. There are women that, the vagina is so dry and it's so difficult for them to have sex. It's very painful. Mm-hmm. And men might not be able to get an erection. They have a heart condition. Regardless, you ask 1,000 men and 1,000 women, and they want the companionship. Right. That becomes the most important thing in life. And I tell the younger counterpart that as you fall in love, and as you have somebody that you love, it's okay just to be together and to learn to appreciate that companionship, because at the end of the road, that's what's going to take the focus of the relationship.
Well, there's a book that I've been reading, and that's why it's a very good discussion for me with you, because I know that a lot of men have a concern that if they cannot get an erection,
they cannot perform.
Then what happens? They don't even want to touch the woman. I mean, this is very common. I've read there's an article, in fact, we have one in here with Brandwin writes a lot about that. She has a very private company. And men, I just don't want them to feel that way, that just because they can't, because most women can understand it, but the man's pride is so strong about that. Yeah. And he thinks he lost his value, and now he's afraid to touch anyone because he's not going to be able to get an erection.
Right.
And this is really serious stuff.
Men need to understand that when it comes to the sexual act, it's a very complex behavior. It takes your moral value, your ethical value. So you take a man that was married for 45 years, 55 years, 60 years, suddenly meet another person. It's not that he cannot perform. He needs to let go of the past and confront that this person next to him is who he need to learn to love, like he learned to love that person that he married for 60 years. So we need to overcome. Sometimes, a man cannot get an erection, not because he has any problem, just because the moral value, that feeling, that guilt is hitting you so hard that you need to say, it's okay. This is a person that I really love and I care for, and then you will overcome. Having said that, now, when it comes to the sexual act, it's a two people thing. Sometimes the woman want to sit there and wait You know, you have to be active.
Yes.
You know, the men, like, you know, the nipple of the woman, you know, no matter if you are 19 or 92, the sensation on those nipples are there, regardless of the age. The nerve don't go away unless you have surgery or something like that. That's a different story. You're taking the natural course of human being. You take the gland of the penis of a man, and the sensation are there.
Right.
The nerves are still there. It's up to the partner to be able to stimulate, you know, those area where the person will get aroused and be able to perform, and it become a two-person thing.
I want to keep talking about this. I have a friend who met a man who she really liked, and he had been married, just as you said, for 60 years, and they were together for dates, and they would have intercourse, and she really cared about him. He was an older Italian man, but he would never let her sleep overnight, because his wife, he had been married for 60 years, he had all his pictures in his house. It's just what you're saying. There were certain things he just couldn't do, and she is a wonderful woman, and that's going nowhere now. It's horrible. So he's off. He's not going to do something, and yet he keeps wanting to see her. She says, "I'm not going to do this. I'm living with another woman here."
Right.
And that's what you were saying.
Right.
You know, enough's enough already, right? When someone dies, I always say it's a new adventure. It doesn't mean that other person is
what you need to do is work with him, and let's say if they have another room, let's say, let's go and take all of your wife belonging, and let's put it in this other room where you can go there and admire that whenever you want to.
Good advice.
And then let's make this room our room. Or they might need to change room. Leave everything where it is and just, get a new bed into a different room and make that room the new relationship.
And he won't go to her apartment and do this. It's the strangest thing. And so you're right. But it takes, what does it take for someone? What is it with their brain?
In those cases, usually I use my psychologist to work with the couple, so that they can cope with the changes. We all go through that. We go through a relationship that we feel guilty, we don't feel comfortable yet, and the relationship 99% of the time is going to work. You just have to be able to sustain the time that it takes for that relationship to develop, like anything in life. So if you start a relationship, man and a woman, they start a new relationship. You can be 25-year-old woman. It's gonna take time for that relationship to build up. And the same thing if the person is aging, it's going to take time for that relationship. It's a matter of time. You have to be patient. A lot of good ideal relationship that everybody look and say, what a wonderful couple. They don't work because they become impatient. They don't allow the feeling to develop, that guilty feeling that we have, that we carry on with us, to overcome them, to develop new behavior so that we can move forward. But there's no age limit in falling in love and finding a companion. And it's not about, wild sex. It's about holding hand and having somebody you can lean your head on. A lot of times that's the beauty of romance.
You're always so good. There's nothing I can't talk to you about, which is interesting because there isn't a woman I know who's she's probably in her 70s, and her husband died just recently, and someone encouraged her. She said, "Oh, I'm never going to have another man, and they all want to get in bed with me, get in bed with everybody," and that's not true. But she wasn't that gorgeous that she should even have worried about it. But they all have this thing. Well, no, it's amazing. That's all the women say. Oh, they don't want to get that. They just want to go to bed, right? Well, and I always feel a little sorry for the men because it's so silly. But anyway, she got online. A friend of hers wrote something for her. She got on one of the things. And sure enough, someone responded. Well, a lot of people responded, but this one man responded, and a lot of his life was similar to hers because he had lost his wife. And they go and they have coffee, right? They are, now a year later, she's never had this much love in her life. They're so happy together. Now, both of them are, I don't even want to say, they're, overweight. And I have no idea what the sex life's like. But you know what? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
matter.
They're
so happy. But I think they are having plenty because it's the way they're acting. It's fantastic.
No, they might be just so happy. Because, you have to understand, Anita, when a person finds somebody, you have a wonderful relationship with someone, and now you are by yourself, and you find that person that will fulfill the emptiness on both sides. So it's not only for me to make you happy, but when you see what you can do to make Andy happy, and then it goes both ways, and then those are the relationships that will blossom.
I think we're going to have, what I decided? We're going to have a seminar at the Adult and Geriatric, and we're going to talk about this. We need to do this. I don't know if people are coming. They're very shy about listening and talking now. Actually, you have to almost do it in their room probably with them. But this is a very important subject that we're hitting on. Mm-hmm. Do you know how many people are living longer and they're living alone?
Of course.
And they wind up in the retirement communities and they're still alone. Even though they close their door, they're in there. They haven't had anyone touch them. They haven't had anybody caress them, just fondle them, hug them, dance with them. We ought to do something. You have this gorgeous new building now with all that space.
Yeah, we can use the space for teaching.
No, for dancing. I forget the teaching. Oh, God. See, I can't hold him down. We didn't even know what we were going to talk about this morning, but I've been reading a book, and I just saw a movie the other night, and it was so typical of what happens. Do you know when...
But you know what should motivate people?
What?
That if they look at the statistic of people over the age of 70, people over the age of 70 that live alone have four higher tendency of ending up in a retirement community, an assisted living facility, or a nursing home than people that have some form of companionship. Now, it might not be another man, another woman. It might, it could be your son, your daughter, some form of companionship.
A dog.
Really? Pet, some form of companionship, because it's a relationship that you have. You wake up, you look forward to that, you dream with it. So this is your companion. This is your motivation. That gets you, get people going. So, a dog is fulfills certain thing, but it does not fulfill the human touch. So a dog fulfills certain part of the relationship, or, living your life, but it does not substitute.
Doesn't talk human. Back to you, which may be sometimes okay.
Well, sometimes okay. Sometimes you just take off the hearing aid.
No, I know. You're right. But still, it is something better if you can't have the other. It's a wonderful thing to have as something that loves you, or, that you have a relationship that makes you walk and all.
I have a patient that, she's been coming to me for a while now. And, this short Jewish lady, she will come in and I say, you have nobody. Say, no, since my husband divorced me, I just dedicated myself to my kids. And I say, but your kids are gone. They're all grown up, One of them teach, and the other one is a police officer in New York. I say, I want you to do one thing. I want you to go upstairs to my dental department, and we're going to make denture for you. And no charge. You're going to take my teeth out? I said, yes. I'm going to take your rotten teeth out of your mouth, and I want to make denture for you. So we took it up there, and you see this lady face. People say, when she say, Dr. Mencia, people see me, and they don't even notice that it's my teeth. When they look at my face, they say, you look so much younger. What do you do to yourself? And now we make this beautiful denture, and she's so beautiful. She looks so nice. And I say, just go and meet somebody, And,
that's so special that you did that. A lot of people, that's not what a doctor typically would do. I think that's a wonderful thing because she doesn't realize the impression.
That's not a doctor, that's a human.
It's a human. but then odor, all these things that keep people away.
Yeah, but sometimes when you are by yourself, you sort of don't care. You know, you don't care if you're going to put your underclothes, if they're dirty, nobody's going to see me. I'm not going to end up in an emergency room. So what? So, you know, you don't care about your hair. You don't care about your teeth. You don't care about anything. And, you know, this little thing have changed this woman's life, where now she feels empowered. That she look at herself on the face and she noticed that there's a different woman there now.
You know, this is terrible. When you come on, no, I know. When you come on, I don't even tell people who you are. I'm so entranced with what you're doing. It's great. Well, but that's why people love you. Let me just tell you that Dr. Andy Mencia has really been talking with us and enlightening us. And
use your insurance between today and tomorrow, not today and Monday.
Oh, you're right.
Because the copay starts January 1st.
Okay.
So if you need lab work, get that stuff done. We are open today. Also, dental.
Right. Dental.
Even if you're going to do a dental procedure, if you go to the dental department and my dental department bill for your procedure, as long as they start the procedure either today or Monday,
that's right,
you can utilize your dental benefit. As of January 1st, it comes down to zero, and then you start building up again. So
excellent advice.
You don't use it, you lose it.
Yep, that's true.
Okay, that's your benefit. Use
All
them.
right. So let's give you the phone. They're open today. They're open today. So I know they don't have an appointment. Maybe they can sneak in.
They can still
sneak in. Okay.
Yeah.
954-489-1345. That's Dr. Mencia. It's called the Adult and Geriatric Medical Center. 954-489-1345. Medicare and most insurances are accepted. When you go, be prepared to be cared about. Really to be cared about from the receptionist, who's a concierge now. We call him that.
The concierge, the medical concierge.
I love that. Yeah. And to everybody, they will hug you. It's a different relationship. It's not like anything you've ever seen before. It's true.
We have a wonderful team.
You do.
That's my best blessing, the
I know
people that I work with.
I know. I just listening to your show the other day, because we're going to do that. The article's coming out in January, and it's appropriate for us to just say that one more time. Don't wait to go to the ER. You don't want to do that. Go see Dr. Mencia now. And if you haven't done that, take your medications like you're supposed to. Remember, you said that. Mm-hmm. Don't short shrift yourself, because there are people coming into town and you don't want to take
even
things.
If you go to an urgent care, and sometimes they might give you a medication that might interact with other medication that you are already taking, and it can be very harmful to you. I have seen patients with their renal damage because they taking the wrong dose, wrong antibiotic for 3 or 4 days. You don't have to take it for 20 years. You take it 2 or 3 days, and you can really cure your kidneys.
So if they call your number throughout the weekend, even though they haven't been your patient yet, what would happen?
Depends. If it's better during the weekdays, so we can verify insurance and all of that, so you don't have to pay out of pocket and then bill the insurance. So don't wait for the last minute. I have a patient coming in today that was referred by one of the nurses. And the patient already called in yesterday, gave all the insurance information. Everything is verified. So when that patient come in today, everything is set.
Yes.
Don't wait for the last minute to get, even when you go to an ER, it takes so long at the emergency room because they have to go and verify everything you have. Right. And they have a hotline that they use, and it takes time to get things done on the weekend.
Okay, he's open. They're open on Saturday. Dr. Andy Mencia. We are so blessed to have him here. 2012 was great, but 2013 is going to be spectacular, isn't it?
God willing.
Yeah, we love you so much. We thank you. Yeah, you just make the world a better place. You know that. You do. And we have a woman who's going to now follow you, who has definitely made the world a better place with her book called If You Think It. You know that? If you say it and if you think it. So this guy that meets this woman, I don't care what age, if they think it's going to be great,
exactly.
It will be,
it will
won't
happen. If you think positive,
right,
positive thing will happen.
Yeah, that's how I always think.
If you think negative people will come around you.
It will. It does attract that. Yeah. Someone said something, and I'm just going to leave this with you. And it's a woman who's involved in hospice. She goes all over the country to help. She said, let's not ever mention the name of the man that did that horrific thing in Newtown. Don't even talk his name ever again.
Exactly.
We don't even want that name to be anywhere in the world. You know, and the news people, just don't talk his name.
Right.
And that was an interesting thing she said to me, because what you do is you bring power to it.
Absolutely.
Let's not do that.
We should look at all the people that came together, how the country came together. Look at all the positive things that happened out of that.
Yes.
And that should be the motivating
Yes, and there are more stars twinkling in the sky now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because that's where they've all gone. So we love you, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're so wonderful. Okay, and our next, he always runs off, you know, because he's got to go take care of his patient. I know, you're great. Thank you, Dr. Mencia.